Hello everybody, I'm Azortharion, and in this video I'll go over the most recent changes for hunters on the War Within beta. I'm a little late to this one, so I've been on holiday, but I still wanted to give you guys an update along with my thoughts on the beta so far, even though these updates that you're seeing on screen right now came around 5 days ago. I will also offer some insights and resources you guys might find useful going on in the beta, like this great bug list that we'll be going over in a moment. And also I've pulled up some logs from like Mythic Plus on the beta now, to maybe give you guys more of a sort of visual representation of how things might play out. Well, I guess not visual, but sort of it can help see, by seeing like the damage breakdown of the specs and so on, it can give you a better idea of like what are your priorities going to be when you actually play, rather than just learning everything by, you know, how it's written on paper. In the coming weeks, you'll also see a Wowhead article by myself, specifically going over my thoughts on the Marksmanship rework and some Mythic Plus content from the beta. So as always, let me know your thoughts, feedback, and video suggestions in the comments below, and let's get started. So starting out with Beast Mastery here, so Alpha Predator and Improved Kill Command have swapped locations. What does this mean? Well, these two talents right here used to be in different locations. It meant that, you know, if you didn't want Cobra Senses, you basically required Improved Kill Command to get down to Stomp. But Improved Kill Command is not a very sexy talent compared to Alpha Predator. Alpha Predator is just way better. So yeah, it's just a very boring talent, and it basically meant you were forced into it. By moving it in this way, it's, I mean, still a relatively powerful 1-point talent. But now that we're no longer forced into it, you know, we are offered a little bit more build flexibility, so this is just overall a good change. Next up is Improved Kill Command as a new icon. That is obviously cool. Hunter's Prey and Venom's Bite have swapped locations. So it used to be the case that Hunter's Prey would be out here. Both talents are basically related to, indirectly at least, ways of putting Serpent Sting on. So obviously Venom's Bite and Hunter's Prey, they rely on each other to a significant degree. It basically just gives you, okay, so I have a little bit of a problem with this whole setup here, and it's to do with Dire Beast. Okay, so if you want Dire Beast, which you probably do because Huntmaster's Call is still a seriously strong talent, you will have to pick either Hunter's Prey or Venom's Bite. The problem is that Venom's Bite without Hunter's Prey is kind of weak. So, like, it seems like there's like the pretense of giving you an option of what path you want to take to Dire Beast, but like both talents rely significantly on another. Hunter's Prey gains significant value from Venom's Bite for obvious reasons, because it gives you kill shots, and those with Venom's Bite apply kill shot, and the other way around, right? So, and not really, like, I don't really think this structure right here is optimal. On the other hand, a Wild Call used to be out here, and that was significantly worse, so definitely don't move it from where it is now. But overall, I just think that, I guess, like, the problem starts further upstream in that I don't even think Dire Beast should be required to get Huntmaster's Call. Because, so firstly, Dire Beast, in terms of triggering the Dire Beasts required for Huntmaster's Call, is actually kind of a bad way of doing it. And what do I mean by that? Well, Dire Beast is a 20-second cooldown, unhasted. Well, Dire Command, which just gives you a kill command, a 30% chance to give you Dire Beast. Well, this talent will give you like twice as many Dire Beasts on average as the actual Dire Beast talent. So there's no real like gameplay reason for Dire Beast to be required to get Huntmaster's Call. So they obviously addressed some of the feedback I and others had about Dire Beast earlier in the beta, where they made a give 20 focus on cast. But like Beast Mastery was never really particularly focus staffed. So the main complaint was that Dire Beast didn't feel exciting to press. They did make it more exciting to press, but perhaps not in like the optimal way. So the thing is, like, the effect of Dire Beast is still just this 5% haste, which is pretty subtle, and this passive damage done by the beast. But the 20 focus generated, like, Beast Mastery already has significant focus overflow, and like people are currently cooking on the beta. I'm not saying this will necessarily be optimal, but people are cooking with builds that do not use this pack tactics talent, which gives, you know, basically doubles your passive focus regen, because we're just drowning in so much focus at this point. Partially thanks to, or, you know, maybe not in thanks to, them making Dire Beast Grand Focus. So I still think it would be significantly better. Like, so this issue of both of these talents that kind of depend on each other being required to get down to Dire Beast would also be partially solved if you simply didn't need Dire Beast to get Huntmaster's Call. Yeah, so I think there's many ways of going about fixing that, but that's my feedback at least. Alright, next up is pathing, and gate 2 has been adjusted. So this is, I don't quite recall the changes here. Gate 2 would be, I believe, down here. Honestly, I'd need to check how it was before, but I don't exactly recall. I think it's just... No, actually, I'm not sure. That is my mistake. Huntmaster's Call sound effect volume has been lowered. Yeah, that's fine. It was really obnoxious because it procs quite often and it does like a super loud horn sound when it goes off, so that's good. Alright, next on, we're moving on to Marksmanship. Alright, so arcane shot damage increased by 3%. That's just a minor tuning thing. 3%, it's not quite obvious to me. I mean, it may be in order to ensure that it's always better to cast on single target than multi-shot. Because if you remember in previous videos, I talked about how with all the Sentinel effects and Small Game Hunter, which now has also been nerfed, a multi-shot was often better to cast on single target than arcane shot, and that's obviously degenerate. But they've made some steps towards fixing that. One is buffing arcane shot damage. Another is nerfing Small Game Hunter's multi-shot damage bonus from 100% to 75%. This was kind of required. So I've got a log here of Marksmanship in Mythic Plus. So this is just a random log I found of doing like a relatively high key and doing like reasonably high damage. So previously, multi-shot could easily be like topping you overall in Mythic Plus, which is obviously not, you know, super sensible gameplay. Now it's quite a bit low. I don't expect it to be quite this low for most people. But what you'll all also notice is just how much Marksmanship, because this is a recent log, remember? How much Marksmanship relies on all this borrowed power from Sentinel. Like you have Symphonic Arsenal here. They already nerfed this, but it's still doing 12% of our overall damage. Lunar Storm, which is a capstone, and remember, on top of doing 11% of our overall, like it's also buffing the damage of all the other spells by like 10%, because that's what Lunar Storm does. Any target struck by it takes 10% increased damage from you and your pet for 8 seconds. This thing has like significant uptime, so it gets a little bit degen. Sentinel is still massively overpowered, and that's just the truth of it. And Sentinel, obviously, on its own, does a pretty significant damage as well. It's just a little bit too much. But in terms of, if you just look aside from the Sentinel stuff, the actual damage breakdown of Marksmanship is quite good. Explosive Shot is super juicy, like its average, its cast is super powerful. Consider like it's almost doing rapid fire damage, but it only takes, you know, a fraction of the total time to cast. Average Explosive Shot in this particular log is almost triple that of rapid fire. Each hit is significantly more as well. So you have to imagine, well, I guess you can't really look at this because it depends how many rapid fire is cleaving on or whatnot. But yeah, you get the idea. Pretty like sensible damage breakdown and what I would hope to see. I think the only thing is Marksmanship is just like it's built around aim shot to such a significant degree, and it is indeed what you spend most of your time casting. Consider not just the fact that aim shot is the thing you cast the most, but it also takes the longest to cast. So once you add all that up, like we spend a lot of time casting aim shot when it's nowhere near our most powerful ability. That does not have to be a problem, but a feedback I've seen, and like let me know if you agree or not in the comments, is that, for example, in late Legion, Marksmanship was easily 60 to 70% of Marksmanship's damage. Now that was probably a little bit too much. But it is often getting overshadowed by other abilities, considering its status as a signature ability, and we have a lot of other talents that tie into aim shot. So yeah, let me know what you think on that. Next up is basically just fixing a bug that caused multi-shot to deal even more damage. Obviously, them fixing that is partly responsible for it no longer doing absurd amounts of overall. And next up is multi-shot focus cost increased to 30. So this was just, I think this was in response to some cooking people were doing about not running crack shot. Which just reduced, like, it is the value, like, well, actually, no, this is just arcane. Basically, just ended up being the case that you overcapped on focus a ton during true shot and whatnot, because multi-shot just basically caused no focus. And it was even more reason to only cast multi-shot instead of arcane shot on single target, so yeah. Wailing Arrow and Rapid Fire will now probably regenerate wind arrows when talented into Legacy of the Windrunner, so just another bug fix. And yeah, that covers Beast Mastery and Marksmanship. Now we're getting into the sort of meat and potatoes of this video, which is all the survival changes. So let's hop over to that. Alright, let's start from the very top. Sigim has been redesigned. Kill command has a 15% chance to reset the cooldown of kill shot, so obviously making kill shot a relevant part of the rotation, making it usable on targets regardless of health. Now every single hunter spec has a mechanic of this sort that gives you kill shot procs and strike up to 2 additional targets. This chance is doubled during coordinated assault. So before I analyze this on its own, we should move on to perhaps the biggest change of all, which is coordinated assault has been redesigned from the ground up. It is now much simpler. You only pet charge your enemy, striking them for combined physical damage, pretty significant damage. I think, let me see. So I have a breakdown here. Okay, well, I say significant damage, that's not really true. It is some damage. They increased the initial damage, but like, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's basically absolutely nothing. Unipet spawn is strengthened for 20 seconds, causing Unipet to deal 20% increased damage, so flat 20% increase, and Kill Command's chance to reset its cooldown is increased by 15%. Obviously, Kill Command is not only a focus generator, but perhaps more importantly for survival now, it is a tip of the spear stacks generator. Let's remind ourselves. Tip of the spear is this buff that you get whenever you Kill Command that increases the direct damage of other spells, and you basically want to ensure that you have Tip of the Spear available for every single other spell. Getting more Kill Commands means you can generate more of these stacks, which is good for your overall damage. They even added the developer's note here. Coordinated Assault's previous iterations have been disproportionately complex relative to its output. So what they're referring to are the macros that you used to have to do with Coordinated Assault to ensure that the bonus granted by a pet's basic attack would always go to kill shot. It was really degenerate. Nobody liked it. Instead of like fixing that specific thing about it, they basically just like started from scratch with Coordinated Assault, which I think is okay. Our goal with these changes is to simplify Coordinated Assault's effects, increase the power gain from Coordinated Assault, and disjoint it from kill shot so that you can opt into kill shot bonuses as you see fit, and this ties into the thing they did with Sikkim. We also believe that the increased kill command reset chance will be more broadly appealing with the new talents introduced in the survival update, and with that they're of course referring to Tip of the Spear and the mechanics that relate to Tip of the Spear. Alright, so along with these changes to Coordinated Assault, Symbiotic Adrenaline has been updated. Additionally causes Coordinated Assault to grant free stacks of Tip of the Spear. So that would be one of these choice notes here. So it reduces the cooldown of Coordinated Assault by 60 seconds. So from 2 minutes to a 1 minute cooldown. And the additional effect is now that it also grants free stacks of Tip of the Spear, making it a bit more of like an upfront burst thing. So basically once a minute you can hit Coordinated Assault and bam, you're like fully stacked up on Tip of the Spear, which means you don't have to worry about weaving in kill commands. This does mean that you'll be sitting probably on pressing Coordinated Assault. You'll immediately overcap on your kill commands, and then you'll probably spend most of your Coordinated Assault windows capped on kill command charges, which I'm not so sure I love, because you'll simply be so busy pressing other buttons with this like huge influx of Tip of the Spear stacks that you get. But also, as soon as you go back to pressing kill commands throughout Coordinated Assault, they have gonna have an increased chance to reset its cooldown. So. And you'll also be pressing a lot of bombs, and like I think Coordinated Assault, especially with only a 1 minute cooldown, its gameplay will be characterized a lot by like overcapping on both kill command charges and focus, is what I expect. Alright, next up is Quick Shot. Now it's a 30% chance to find Arcane Shot when you cast kill command. It was when kill command reset. That is because it used to be like RNG and RNG, and this talent just felt kind of bad. It was always numerically decent, but like. So obviously kill command has, X% chance to reset whenever you cast it, depending on your talents. And then whenever that happened, you had an additional pretty small 30% chance to fire an Arcane Shot. They just streamlined that and buffed it in the process. Next up is butchery damage increased by 100%. So this just makes it a bit more of a sexy button to press. Still not, accounting for much of our overall, but that's because it's competing with all these explosive shots and bombs, as you can see. But yeah, not an unwelcome change. Flanking Strike. Okay, so all of these changes here, they basically went back on. Okay, so, what's the best way to do this? Okay, so I'm gonna read this post they made after, because basically there was a lot of feedback concerning this change, and long story short, they reverted it. What did they say? We've been reading your feedback regarding the recent changes to Mongoose Bite, Mongoose Fury, and Flanking Strike, and I want to provide an update regarding those changes. Okay, so what were the changes in brief? Well, basically, they turned Flanking Strike from its own button into like, it would replace every fourth kill command or third kill command. They increased its range a bit. They no longer have it benefit from Tip of the Spear, and it generates focus, making it basically a super powerful kill command. Flanker's Advantage no longer grants additional reset chance based on a critical strike. This is actually not particularly related. So that's the Flanking Strike changes. The feedback about this was that when you replace kill command with Flanking Strike, it actually felt bad because there's so many buffs and like talents and things that tie into making kill command more powerful that you're not getting when it turns into Flanking Strike. Now, their solution to this was just reverting this change entirely, and they're sort of back to the drawing board, or maybe they'll just leave it like this. I personally think that if they had just kept this change, but made all of the bonuses that affect kill command also affect Flanking Strike, I think that would have been a decent change. Like it would reduce some button bloat for survival, and yeah, I think it would have been fine. This is basically what they've done with Marksmanship. Let's just hop over to Marksmanship for a brief moment. So if we read, what is it? I think it's just Wailing Arrow. Yeah, so let me see. I'm not quite the thing I'm looking for. Well, basically, maybe it doesn't say it in the tooltip, but what they've said is that after summoning 20 wind arrows, your next aim shot becomes a Wailing Arrow. Same kind of mechanic, right? Like sometimes your button becomes another button that is a more powerful version of said button. What they said about Wailing Arrow was, because the same concern appeared, like we have all these talents like Night Hunter, aim shot and rapid fire crit chance increased by 5%. Focused aim shot and rapid fire damage increased by 2.5%. Those bonuses that like you invest the talents into, they suddenly wouldn't apply to your Wailing Arrow. Well, they just said, yeah, all of those bonuses that affect aim shot are going to affect Wailing Arrow. Problem solved. But they didn't do that for Flanking Strike. I'm just not sure why, because it seems like an elegant change that they already had, like an elegant solution that they'd already implemented in another spec, which I felt they could have done here. But that is the status of things. What are the changes to Mongoose Bite that were reverted? Well, Mongoose Fury now refreshes its duration when a new stack is applied, and it has 3 stacks maximum instead of 5, and the duration is reduced to 10 seconds. So a lot of people got up in arms about this. It basically turns Mongoose Fury from what the current is, like you have these windows, and especially like 5-stack windows are quite juicy. And the idea is you basically want to cram as many Mongoose Bites into these windows as possible. Basically takes all that away and just turns it into essentially like a maintenance buff. Like basically every 10 seconds you want to hit a Mongoose Bite at minimum to keep your 3 stacks up. It's a little bit like Frenzy in a way. Well, there was a lot of negative feedback about this change. The main thing I saw was everyone liked the Mongoose Fury gameplay because there was a skill ceiling, or like a skill cap to it and whatnot. And they were said that went away. Well, I disagree with that feedback because I think it's based on a faulty premise. Now, the fact is that Mongoose Fury, in its current implementation, and for basically all of this expansion in Dragonflight, doesn't really have a meaningful gameplay impact. So the people who were providing feedback on this, like indicating that, or like sort of regretting that a big part of gameplay had been removed with this change, well, the fact is that nothing really changes from this gameplay-wise. You never thought about Mongoose Fury, like very rarely you did, but almost never. And even doing so perfectly was like a sub 1% DPS increase. You never really thought about it before. They changed it so that you still don't think about it all that much, aside from like maybe on AoE you'll weave in a Mongoose Bite just to keep it up. I see this as a neutral change. I don't see why they should have, like, I don't really care either way, because it's like the thing is, either implementation has little to no gameplay impact. And of course there are other things than gameplay impact, like flavor and stuff, and maybe the window model is a bit better than this maintenance buff. I think I can understand that side of things. But purely objectively gameplay wise, there's no real difference between this implementation and the implementation that they had before. But they did end up reverting this. That's fine by me. I think, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, do you think Mongoose Fury should be like a maintenance thing, or do you think it should be a window thing? If you do think it should be a window thing, how do you reconcile that gameplay with the whole weaving tip of the spear kill commands in between all your Mongoose Bites? Because what they say here is the previous design of Mongoose Fury is rewarding you for pressing nothing but Mongoose Bite in a damage window, while the new tip of the spear is asking you to weave in kill commands. These two designs were pulling your rotation in 2 separate directions, and these adjustments should help to harmonize these 2 mechanics. I broadly agree with what they're saying here. Like, I could imagine that it, like the old, and which is now the current version, would feel kind of bad if you don't feel that you're able to actually like mash some Mongoose Bites in your 5-stack Fury window. But the thing is, you are not doing that anyway, whether Tip of the Spear existed or not. So, yeah. Let me know what you think. Next up is Wildfire Infusion's kill command reset chance reduced to 10%. And Wildfire Infusion's Wildfire Bomb cooldown reduction reduced to 0.5 seconds. So this is, one of the biggest pieces of feedback on the main survival rework was we just total button bloat or GCD bloat. We have way too many both kill commands but especially Wildfire Bombs. We got way more than we could ever hope to press, and it just felt kind of bad. They're still making adjustments to this, and this is good. It remains to be seen whether they've nailed it, but I think they've gotten a lot closer. So let's just look at this damage breakdown here. So Wildfire Bomb is still overwhelmingly your most pressed button, but that makes sense in Mythic Plus, right? That's roughly what you expect. The next is Kill Command, basically buffing all those Wildfire Bombs, and then it's Butchery, which also generates more Wildfire Bombs. Now, I don't know what the perfect distribution of abilities is here, but I'm glad that it's not like twice as many Wildfire Bombs as the next best button. It is a pretty damn simple rotation though when you really look at it. So you basically have Wildfire Bomb, which is a main nuke, does a ton of damage. Kill Commands, which generates typical spear stacks that buff them. Butchery does a bit of damage, but mostly just gives you more Wildfire Bombs. Raptor Strike or Mongoose Bite, basically more of a single target button, although it does also occasionally cleave. Explosive Shot does a ton of damage, but you don't press it that often. Maybe it's a little bit overpowered, so you're pressing a third as many explosive shots as Wildfire Bombs, but they're massively beating Wildfire Bombs in terms of damage, which I'm not sure if that's an ideal situation. And of course, the part of the problem is that a lot of Wildfire Bombs damage is the dot portion, which tip of the spear by how it works, which is that it buffs direct damage, does not affect. Whereas Explosive Shot hits just once, and that means, it's always getting fully buffed. So maybe it's not so much a gameplay thing, but numbers-wise, I think Explosive Shot being this powerful relative to how often you cast it is a little bit extreme, in my opinion. But overall, they're making adjustments to sort of the gameplay feel, and I think it's arriving at a good place. So happy with this. Just reading the developer's note for posterity. We're still making adjustments to Survival's action economy and reducing how crowded the rotation feels. Part of this is reducing the increased access of a Wildfire Bomb from the various spec tree changes we've made, particularly through Wildfire Infusion. Other than that, many effects that were consuming multiple stacks of Tip of the Spear have been fixed. Spearhead now only makes your pet charge, so just a little bit of a quality of life thing. Sometimes you didn't want to charge when you press Spearhead. Spearhead description updated. I think that just refers to that exact change. So, and your pet charges to the target, yeah. And visuals and sound effects updated. So those are all the changes. Overall, for Beast Mastery, good. I still think there's some work to be done on Hunter's Prey, Venom's Bite, their positioning relative to Dire Beast. And I think they really need to rethink on whether they really want Dire Beast to be a mandatory thing for Beast Mastery, because that's where we're at the moment. The focus that it gives you is still not super exciting. And I think most people like Beast Mastery enjoy that it has relatively few buttons. And the other thing is, of course, Dire Beast, for being an extra button, is just not a very powerful button. Let's see, let me just go back to Beast Mastery here. Dire Command is a significantly stronger button than Dire Beast. And it doesn't require you to, it's not even a button, right? It's just a passive. It's like you're getting twice the value of Dire Beast for no GCD cost or anything at all. Only thing you're losing out on is the focus, which Beast Mastery is not exactly desperate for more focus. So some work to be done there. Marksmanship. They mainly just fixed the fact that multi-shot was doing too much damage, which is a good thing. I still think there are some issues basically with how we still need to press all these multi-shots during true shot and overcap our resources. And other stuff that you'll see in my forthcoming Wowhead article on the subject where I'll go into more detail. Survival changes, broadly good. I think, I'm honest, in a way I'm glad that they just listened to the community. Even if I disagree with the community on some of these points, I'm glad they're listening to the community because it's better than not listening at all, right? Listening even with something I happen to disagree with is better than nothing, in my opinion. Because it means, whatever feedback you guys provide next, they're more likely to listen to that as well. Honestly, the Mongoose Bite thing is neither here nor there. I'd like to know your thoughts. My thoughts is that it doesn't really matter what implementation they do. But I do think that their proposed new Mongoose Bite is a bit more harmonious, as they say, with the new tip of the spear. As for Flanking Strike, I don't think they needed to revert this at all. They could have just done exactly what they did for Wailing Arrow, which is to make sure that Flanking Strike inherits all the bonuses. Kill command. Then it would have just been good. I kind of see it as a similar thing to like the Die Beast thing. So obviously Flanking Strike adds an extra ability to your rotation on a medium cooldown, just like Die Beast. It generates focus, just like Die Beast. I see them as a little bit similar. And it's just that Flanking Strike is too similar to Kill Command and like your other abilities, whether it's Mongoose Bite or Kill Command. They've kind of flip-flopped on whether they want it to be a super generator or a super spender. Baking it in or like changing your button, I think feels more exciting than pressing this button every 30 seconds, but that's just my opinion. All right. One more thing I just wanted to show you guys real quick is this spreadsheet right here. I am insanely overexposed right now. Let's see if I can fix that real quick. So this is a fantastic basically overview of all the bugs that affect Hunter of all 3 specs on the wall within beta right now. At the bottom here you can see each sheet. And for survival, it's maintained, or like at least partly maintained by Leak on the Discord, who's been doing great work. Tarlo for BM and Co for Marksmanship. And it's just a good way of, like, especially when you're playing beta and, you know, like you're experiencing weird interactions and stuff, like it can be helpful to check the spreadsheet, see what's going on. As you can see, there are quite a few bugs, some more important than others, but certainly, you know, Blizzard has a lot of work to do here. And I really hope that by the time we reach launch, there will be no bugs left to fix. Survival has a few, Beastmaster a few, Marksmanship has a few. This mysterious dot for Wailing Arrow, I mean, I could go into the details, but I prefer not to talk about the game assuming all the bugs, because I have some degree of faith that Blizzard will fix these bugs. But currently, like if you look at, let's say, if you're trying to like build craft on the beta right now, in order to do that successfully, you can't actually just look at what all the talents are supposed to do. If you really want to min-max the beta right now, whether you think that's a wise idea or not, like you have to take into account all of these bugs where some talents are just not doing as well as they could. Pack Leader in particular for both BM and Survival has significant issues that affect a whole lot of things. Like Brutal Companion is supposed to be a quite powerful talent for BM, but thanks to Pack Leader just not working with a lot of the basic attack things, it's not as good as it should be, and so on and so forth. Overall, just, you know, kind of wanted to give a shout out to the spreadsheet because it's really, really good. And a particular shout out to League, Tarlo, and Co. For maintaining this thing. So be sure to check it out. You can find it in the beta testing channel on the Hunter Discord. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, I came a little bit late into this particular feedback cycle, or at least this round of feedback. But, you know, it's Monday as I record this, and in 2 days, maybe we'll get some more changes. So you may see me in the coming days. And of course, you'll also see me here on YouTube and on Twitch, where I expect to do some Mythic Plus beta content in the coming month. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.